I, 28F, never thought I would be writing something like this, but here I am. My life turned upside down 8 months ago when I found out that my husband Mike, 32M, and my best friend Chloe, 27F, had been having an affair behind my back while I was pregnant with our first child. I need to give some background information to help you understand the whole situation. Mike and I met in college 6 years ago during our senior year. He was studying business administration while I was finishing my degree in computer science. Mike was the type of person everyone wanted to be around, charming, funny, and always the life of any party. We first met at a mutual friend's birthday party where he spent the whole evening making me laugh. After that night, we kept running into each other at campus events and eventually started hanging out in the same friend group. We started dating after 4 months of friendship. Our relationship moved pretty quickly after graduation. We both landed good jobs in the same city and moved in together after 6 months of dating. Everyone said we were perfect for each other. Mike balanced out my more introverted nature, and I helped ground his sometimes impulsive tendencies. We got married 3 years ago in what I thought was my dream wedding. Chloe had been my best friend since sophomore year of high school. We met in chemistry class when we were paired as lab partners. She was the outgoing, popular girl who surprisingly took me under her wing. Even though we went to different colleges, we never lost touch. We had weekly video calls, and she would visit me at least once a month. When I started dating Mike, Chloe was my biggest supporter. She kept telling me how lucky I was to find such a perfect guy. She was even my maid of honor at our wedding and gave the most touching speech about our friendship and how happy she was for me. When Mike and I got married, we both had stable careers and decided to wait a couple of years before having kids. We wanted to be financially secure and spend some time traveling before settling down with a family. We bought a house in the suburbs and spent 2 years renovating it into our dream home. Everything seemed perfect. 2 years into our marriage, we decided to start trying for a baby. I had always wanted to be a young mother, and Mike seemed excited about becoming a father. The trying process took longer than we expected, about 6 months. During this time, I remember feeling frustrated and worried that something might be wrong. Mike assured me that these things take time and we shouldn't stress about it. Finally, after 6 months of trying, I got that positive pregnancy test. We were both overjoyed and started making plans for the nursery right away. The pregnancy started out rough. I had severe morning sickness from week 6, which actually lasted all day. I could barely keep any food down and had to be hospitalized twice for dehydration. My doctor said it was hyperemesis gravidarum, a severe form of morning sickness. I had to take time off work and was mostly confined to bed rest during my first trimester. Mike seemed supportive at first. He would bring me crackers in bed and hold my hair back when I was sick. But as the weeks went by, his attitude started to change. He began complaining about how my condition was affecting our lives. We couldn't go out for dinner anymore because most smells made me nauseous. I couldn't attend his office parties or social events because I was too sick. He started becoming distant around the end of my first trimester. His behavior got worse during my second trimester. Even though my morning sickness had improved, Mike had already established a pattern of staying late at work and being absent on weekends. He would claim that my pregnancy was stressing him out and he needed space to decompress. He started going on golf trips with his colleagues almost every weekend, leaving me alone to deal with my pregnancy symptoms and anxiety. This is where Chloe stepped in to help. Since she lived nearby and had a flexible job as a freelance graphic designer, she started coming over frequently to keep me company. She would help me with household chores, drive me to my prenatal appointments when Mike was too busy, and even help me start decorating the nursery. I was incredibly grateful for her support during this difficult time. What makes this whole situation even more painful is how they used my vulnerability to their advantage. Chloe knew all my insecurities about the pregnancy. I had confided in her about my fears that Mike was pulling away, and she would reassure me that he just needed time to adjust to the idea of fatherhood. All while she was secretly seeing him behind my back. I discovered their betrayal when I was 7 months pregnant. An anonymous email arrived in my inbox with dozens of pictures attached. The email was titled "You Deserve to Know the Truth." The pictures showed Mike and Chloe together at various locations throughout my pregnancy, having dinner at expensive restaurants, checking into hotels, and even spending time at our vacation cabin in the mountains. The dates on the pictures matched weekends when Mike claimed he was on golf trips or when Chloe said she was visiting her parents. The most recent pictures were from just a week before, showing them having an intimate dinner at a restaurant just 2 blocks from our house. They were holding hands across the table and kissing, not even trying to hide their affair. I felt physically sick looking at the pictures. The timestamp showed it was from an evening when I had called Mike crying because I was having severe back pain, and he said he couldn't come home because he was stuck in an important business meeting. I confronted Chloe first. She came over as usual, acting like everything was normal. When I showed her the pictures, she broke down immediately. Through her tears, she confessed that she and Mike had grown close while taking care of me during my pregnancy. She claimed it just happened and that they had tried to fight their feelings but couldn't. She begged for my forgiveness, saying she still wanted to be part of my life and the baby's life. When I confronted Mike later that evening, his reaction was completely different. Instead of admitting his guilt, he tried to gaslight me. He said I was being paranoid and hormonal, that the pictures could be explained, and that I was overreacting because of my pregnancy hormones. When I showed him Chloe's text confession, he changed tactics and tried to blame me. He said I had been so focused on the pregnancy that I had neglected his needs. He actually had the audacity to say that Chloe had been there for him when I wasn't. I packed my bags that night and moved in with my sister. The next day, I contacted a divorce lawyer and started the proceedings immediately. Mike's true colors really showed after I left. He alternated between begging me to come back and threatening to make my life difficult if I didn't forgive him. Chloe kept calling and texting, saying she made a terrible mistake and that she would do anything to make it right. I gave birth to my son 2 months ago. It was a difficult delivery, but my sister was there supporting me through it all. Mike showed up at the hospital, claiming his rights as the father to see his child. I had my lawyer handle everything. We eventually agreed on supervised visitation rights for Mike, but I made it absolutely clear that Chloe would never be allowed near my son. Now, just when I thought things couldn't get more twisted, Mike and Chloe announced their engagement last week. They claim they are truly in love and want to get married. Chloe had the nerve to send me a long email saying that since she's going to be my son's stepmother, we need to find a way to coexist peacefully. She even suggested family therapy so we could all heal together and create a healthy environment for the baby. I lost it after reading her email. I replied telling them both to go to hell and that Chloe would never be anything to my son. Mike is now threatening to take me to court to modify the custody agreement, claiming I'm being unreasonable and not considering our son's best interests by keeping his future stepmother away from him. I know I'm not wrong here, but the whole situation is making me physically sick. How dare they act like victims and demand to be part of my son's life after what they did to me? How do I protect my son from these toxic people while still following the court's visitation orders? Edit. Thank you all for your support and advice. To clarify some points, yes, I have full documentation of their affair, including the pictures and their admissions via text. My lawyer has everything. Also, the anonymous email came from one of Mike's co-workers who felt guilty about covering for him all this time. Update 1: Things have escalated beyond what I could have imagined. After my last post and reading all your comments suggesting that there might be more to the story, I decided to dig deeper into Mike and Chloe's relationship timeline because several things weren't adding up. I started by reaching out to our old college friends and mutual acquaintances who I had lost touch with after getting married. At first, most of them were hesitant to talk, but once they learned about the affair and my current situation, they started opening up. What I discovered has completely shattered any remaining doubt I had about divorcing Mike. Jessica, one of our closest friends from college, finally broke her silence. She told me that she had caught Mike and Chloe together at our company's Christmas party 2 years ago when I was down with severe food poisoning and couldn't attend. She had gone to the bathroom and found them making out in the hallway. When confronted, Mike had begged her not to tell me, claiming it was a one-time drunk mistake and that he loved me. He convinced her that telling me would only hurt me unnecessarily. Chloe had backed up his story, crying and saying she felt terrible about it. Jessica said she's been carrying this guilt ever since. After Jessica's revelation, more friends started coming forward. Tom, Mike's former roommate, admitted that he had seen Mike and Chloe together multiple times before I even got pregnant. He had assumed I knew about it and that we had some sort of arrangement. Another friend mentioned seeing them at a restaurant in a different city where Mike claimed he was attending a business conference. This was almost a year before I got pregnant. But the most devastating discovery came when I went to our old house to collect the last of my things. While going through Mike's closet, I found an old jacket he rarely wore. In its pocket was a half-empty bottle of male birth control pills with a prescription date from 18 months ago. Everything suddenly clicked into place. During the 6 months we were trying to get pregnant, Mike had been secretly taking birth control pills to prevent conception. All those nights of trying, all my tears over negative pregnancy tests, all the fertility tracking and temperature monitoring, it was all a sick joke to him. He had been actively preventing us from having a baby while watching me blame myself for our fertility struggles. I took pictures of the pills and called Mike for an explanation. To my surprise, he broke down immediately. The truth that came out was worse than anything I could have imagined. He confessed that he and Chloe had been having an affair for over a year before I got pregnant. They had fallen in love but decided not to tell me because of our shared assets, social circle, and his position at work. His boss is very traditional and looks down on divorce. Mike admitted that he had been taking the pills because he didn't want to have a baby with me when he was planning to leave me for Chloe. The pregnancy caught him off guard, apparently, He had missed a few doses during a business trip. When I got pregnant, he stayed out of obligation and guilt, but his resentment toward me grew throughout the pregnancy. When I asked why they didn't just come clean when I got pregnant, his response made me sick. He said Chloe had convinced him that raising my baby together would be the perfect solution. They could have a family without Chloe having to go through pregnancy herself. Apparently she doesn't want to ruin her body with pregnancy. They had planned to push for joint custody after the divorce, with Chloe playing mommy to my child. Chloe's reaction to being exposed was perhaps the most disturbing part. Instead of showing any remorse, she started bragging to mutual friends about their great love story and how she had won in the end. She even posted a long rant on Facebook about how love finds a way and how sometimes good people make bad choices for the right reasons. The final straw was a message she sent me last night. She wrote that my son would probably end up loving her more since she would be the fun stepmom while I would just be the bitter ex-wife who couldn't keep her family together. She also mentioned that once they get married, they plan to have my son call her Mama Chloe. I've shared all this new information with my lawyer. We're now pushing to modify the custody agreement, arguing for only limited supervised visitation for Mike given his history of deception and manipulation. Several friends have agreed to testify about their knowledge of the long-term affair and Mike's manipulative behavior. What hurts the most isn't even the affair anymore, it's realizing that my entire marriage was a lie. Every anniversary celebration, every vacation, every moment I thought we were building a life together, Mike was actively working against our future. He watched me cry over negative pregnancy tests while holding birth control pills in his pocket. He let me blame myself for our fertility issues while knowing the truth all along. The most ironic part? Chloe can't seem to understand why I won't get over it and co-parent peacefully with them. She keeps sending messages about how she'll be such a great stepmom and how we should all go to family therapy together. Yesterday, she actually suggested that she should be present at Mike's supervised visitations to help the baby bond with his new family. My lawyer is documenting everything for our upcoming court date. The friends who have come forward with information have agreed to testify if needed. I'm also filing for a restraining order against Chloe since she won't stop contacting me through different numbers and social media accounts. I just want to thank everyone who encouraged me to dig deeper. Without your support, I might never have discovered the full extent of their deception. Edit. Several people have asked about Mike's parents' reaction to all this. They're actually devastated. His mom called me crying after finding out about the birth control pills. They've promised to support whatever custody arrangement I pursue, saying their grandchild's well-being comes first. Update 2: The custody battle has taken an unexpected turn that even my lawyer didn't see coming. Last week, I received a message from someone I never expected to hear from, David, Chloe's ex-boyfriend from 3 years ago. He had seen Chloe's engagement announcement on social media and felt compelled to reach out to me with information that has completely changed the dynamics of my custody case. David revealed that Chloe has a history of pursuing married men, particularly her close friends' husbands. What happened with Mike and me wasn't a case of love finding its way as Chloe likes to claim, it was part of a calculated pattern she had perfected over years. According to David, Chloe had successfully broken up 2 other marriages before targeting mine. He shared screenshots of conversations between Chloe and her college friends where she would brag about her conquests. The messages were disturbing. She would detail her strategies for getting close to married men, using their wives' trust to spend time with their husbands, and eventually pushing for marriage once the divorces were finalized. The first was her college roommate's husband, back when Chloe was 23. She befriended the couple, made herself indispensable to the wife during a difficult time, and eventually started an affair with the husband. The second was her co-worker's husband 2 years later, same pattern. Both times, the wives moved away to avoid the scandal, which is why I never heard about any of this. David explained that this pattern was one of the main reasons they broke up. He had discovered her messages accidentally and confronted her about them. Instead of showing remorse, Chloe had laughed it off, saying she was just helping unhappy men find their true happiness. He broke up with her immediately, but she had already set her sights on her next target, Mike. The most shocking part was the group chat messages where Chloe specifically discussed targeting my marriage. She had told her friends that Mike was her biggest challenge yet because we seemed genuinely happy, but she saw it as an exciting game. She even made a bet with her friends about how long it would take to win him over. Someone at Mike's workplace found out about Chloe's past and told him everything. He called me yesterday, crying and claiming he had been manipulated. He said he never knew about her past behavior and that Chloe had been pressuring him to file for full custody. Apparently, their plan was to gradually push me out of my son's life completely, painting me as an unstable mother who was too bitter to co-parent effectively. Mike broke down and admitted that Chloe had started approaching him even before we were married. She would create situations to be alone with him, consistently flirt, and make him feel special. When I got pregnant, she convinced him that he wasn't ready for fatherhood with me but would make a great father to their future children. The birth control pills were her idea. She had given them to him and encouraged him to prevent the pregnancy. I laughed and hung up on him. His tears mean nothing to me now. He's not a victim, he's a grown man who chose to betray his pregnant wife. Whether Chloe manipulated him or not doesn't change his actions or their consequences. I've shared all this new information with my lawyer. We're building a strong case showing their pattern of manipulative behavior and how it could be detrimental to my son's well-being. David has agreed to testify about Chloe's past behavior, and we have all the screenshots as evidence. Chloe hasn't taken this exposure well. She's been creating fake social media accounts to harass me, alternating between threatening messages about taking my son away and tearful apologies claiming she's changed. She even showed up at my sister's workplace trying to get her to arrange a meeting between us. The response from our social circle has been overwhelming. Most of our mutual friends have cut ties with both Mike and Chloe. Several of Chloe's former friends have reached out to apologize for not warning me about her earlier. Even Mike's closest friends have distanced themselves from him after learning about the birth control pills. My lawyer is confident that all this new evidence will help us limit Mike's access to our son even further. The judge needs to see that this isn't just about an affair, it's about a pattern of calculated manipulation that could pose a risk to my child's emotional well-being. For now, I'm focusing on documenting everything and preparing for our court date next month. My sister has been amazing through all this, helping me maintain records of every message and incident. The support from this community has also been invaluable. You all helped me stay strong when I felt like everything was falling apart. Edit, to those asking, yes, I filed a police report about Chloe's workplace harassment, and my sister's company has banned her from the premises. Update 3: The dust has finally settled, and I can say with certainty that leaving Mike was the best decision I ever made. The court battle ended 2 weeks ago, and the results were better than my lawyer and I had hoped for. After reviewing all the evidence, including the birth control pills, Chloe's history of breaking up marriages, the threatening messages, and testimony from multiple witnesses, the judge was heavily in our favor. Mike has been granted only supervised visitation twice a month, and these visits must take place at a court-approved facility with a professional supervisor present. More importantly, the judge granted my request for a permanent restraining order against Chloe, preventing her from coming within 500 feet of me or my son. The judge was particularly concerned about the calculated nature of their actions and the potential psychological impact on my son. She specifically mentioned the birth control deception and their plan to gradually push me out of my son's life as factors in her decision. The court also ordered Mike to undergo psychological evaluation before any future modification of the custody arrangement can be considered. Mike and Chloe's relationship imploded spectacularly after the court's decision. It turns out Chloe had already started seeing someone else, another married man from her new workplace. When Mike found out, he finally saw what everyone had been telling him about her pattern. He tried reaching out to me one last time, sending a 10-page letter about how he had ruined his life and lost everything that mattered. I didn't bother reading past the first paragraph before shredding it. I've moved to a new city with my son, about 3 hours away from our old town. My sister, who has been my rock through all of this, decided to transfer to her company's branch office here to help me with the baby. I found a great job that allows me to work from home 4 days a week, which gives me plenty of time with my son. The support from my new community has been amazing. I joined a single mothers group and have made several close friends who understand what I'm going through. My son is thriving, he's hitting all his milestones and is the happiest baby I've ever seen. Looking at him smile makes all the pain and struggle worth it. Several of our old friends have reached out to check on us. They've told me that Chloe's reputation is completely ruined in our old social circle. Apparently, she's been trying to spin a narrative about being the victim of a smear campaign, but nobody's buying it anymore. The last I heard, she had to leave her job after her new workplace discovered her history of workplace affairs. Mike has been showing up for his supervised visits, but I have my sister handle all communication with him through a court-approved app. He's not allowed to contact me directly except in emergencies regarding our son. During his last visit, he tried to pass me another letter through the supervisor, but I refused to accept it. I'm done reading his explanations and apologies. Some people have suggested that I'm being too harsh by keeping such strict boundaries, but I disagree. My son deserves better than to grow up watching his father manipulate and disrespect his mother. If Mike wants to be part of his life, he'll have to prove he can be a decent human being first. I won't pretend everything is perfect. Single motherhood is challenging, and there are days when I feel overwhelmed. But then I look at my son and remember that we got away from a toxic situation that could have damaged him for life. We're building a new life on our terms, surrounded by people who genuinely care about us. To everyone who supported me through this journey, thank you. Your advice and encouragement helped me stay strong when I wanted to give up. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about moving forward and creating a better life for yourself and your children. Edit, for those asking about therapy, yes, I've started seeing someone to work through everything that happened. It's helping me ensure I don't carry this baggage into future relationships.